Welcome to the RePsychled podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 97. I'ma start a podcast. Today's mood music is coming from the late, great James Brown. It's a Man's World. Now, did y'all know that the title of this is not It's a Man's World, it's a man's Man's World? Because that was weird. That's so weird to me.
It is off too. I was like, wait, what? I actually thought the name of the song is This Is a Man's World.
I did Me too.
So when you said it's, I was like, oh, that was not what I thought the name, because I sure would have Googled This Is a Man's World.
You know, Black culture, we just take stuff and do what we want to do.
We do. And we, but that we learned last Saturday that when we say it double, that we really mean it.
Okay.
That's true.
They said
That's
three
true.
times.
Right.
Yeah, 3.
Yes.
So he was like, not just only emphasis.
Right.
Emphasis.
Okay, so I know you all are wondering what This Is a Man's World is. We are going to be talking about the 6 personality traits or types that we all seem to have. It's really not a lot of research on it, so I don't want to say that we really have it, but
But everybody's flocking to it, because of the nature of the podcast industry right now, and how a lot of people have been getting some flack about being trash on these interwebs, So we decided, well, technically our interns decided that this would be a great topic to talk about alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, omegas, sigmas. And we're not talking about Greek fraternity and sorority disorders. We're talking about the personality types.
Yes.
So I think it's important that we get a disclaimer out the way first. That this is built on research by David Meck from the 70s. He wrote a book related to his observations of wolves in the wild, and that there tended to be one wolf that would fight other male wolves for the top spot, which he, named Alpha. But again, disclaimer, this research has been debunked many times over.
He debunked it.
Debunked it. So we are 100% well aware that this is not scientific. This is social, cultural information. So, as long as we keep it there, I think we're good.
Yeah,
and we'll give you all like the scale of the severe alpha and all the other alphabets, and then the the less severe, so that you can kind of see where you fall, because there are different things that people tend to do when it's more severe and less severe. So we'll give you the range.
All right.
So my question is, where do you ladies think you fall? It will be interesting. I will be interested to know what the interns think as well.
Yes.
Ooh.
So interns, please let us know in the comments what you think we are. Because obviously in a minute we're gonna tell you what we believe to us to be. But
do you agree? Disagree?
And of course, not all of y'all know us, but
just based on what you hear on our in our sessions, what you think?
I think that's an interesting question, though.
Look at you! Come on now.
What the depiction of what other people see. But for myself, I think I fall in 3 categories, and I think it is very situation dependent on which one. I can see myself as a Delta, a Gamma, and the third one, I would probably say maybe a Beta.
Okay.
I don't know. That third one, I'm kind of like leaning on the fence. But again, I think it depends on who I'm with and what the situation is as to whether or not which one will come out to the front.
And before you answer, Dr. Wall, that's interesting you say that, because I was wondering, like, because there's not a lot of research or scientific research on it, I was wondering, like, if you're around certain people, if certain things, I mean, because we already know certain things are pulled out of us, but if certain personality type is pulled out of us, you know, because when we're at work, we might be an alpha, or, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely. I would say for myself, I am a Gamma and an Omega. And like we said, we're not going to go into detail of the why, because we're going to break those down. But I think a lot of people probably won't see me always like that, because I do have a lot of masculine energy. But I see myself as a Gamma or Omega.
And I see myself as a Gamma.
Okay. So we all got Gamma energy in this piece.
It's probably the therapist in us.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
And we all was in school all our lives. So, you know, we have to learn how to be organized. And I'm giving away the traits. We gotta wait. Y'all gotta wait.
Now, the other thing about these primary lists, they do not go necessarily in order with the Greek alphabet.
No.
So,
which is good, because I don't want them to think we're trying to steal their thunder.
Right. So don't come out here like, well, that's not the way the alphabet go. We understand that.
Yes.
So that's just not the way these personality traits are listed out. Even if you were to research it online, they're not gonna come out like that.
Right.
So, but of course, first on the list
is alpha.
Coincidentally.
Yes. Yes. You want to start with the males?
Sure.
Okay.
So alpha males really kind of are like your general, what most people think of like narcissists. You know, that kind of stereotypical, you know, beat my chest. I'm the leader. I'm the dominant one. I'm the, you know.
It's about me.
Yeah. You know, that's like the most, you know, cartoonish version of an alpha. But, you know, just kind of in a general sense, they tend to be leaders. They tend to be the ones that are what everybody wants to aspire to, what they think is the best type of personality to be, even though they have some issues themselves.
Yes.
But you know, they look good,
and they appear to be very in control, and have a lot of people they're charismatic. That's what it is. Yeah. They're charismatic, so they have a lot of people flock to them. And then with the women, not that we're done with the men, but with the women, they're seen as bossy and angry. It's so weird how they are both
the same thing.
They exhibit the same thing.
Assertiveness is not a good quality
for women
societally, and so we will come across as that way. You know, when we talked about the tropes in Trope Tripping 1, angry Black women, all because I spoke up for myself. I'm angry. No, you're just doing too much, sir or ma'am.
Yeah, and I think for women, alpha women, in comparison to alpha men, I think tone plays a huge part in a lot of this, because assertiveness tends to not come with a light, airy, or nasally sound.
It's abrasive.
It's more flat. It's a little short and firm. Not rude, but because of the way our society's kind of, like you were saying, has built up, you know, quote unquote feminine energy tends to have a much more light flow, airiness to it, which when you have, you know, that more dominant style, it tends to not come across that way. And it's seen as being weak.
Yes. And I believe for alpha women, they are, I don't know, they seem to have their self, it looks like that they have themselves together. So of course, like the men, you know, other women strive to be that woman as well.
Yeah.
Because we all want to, you know, have that togetherness about us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, because they look so well on the outside, that everyone believes that alpha individuals have it together. You know, they tend to dress very well. They carry themselves in a very, what we believe is a confident way. You know, they tend to be charismatic, like you were saying. And they know how, a lot of times, have the gift of gab. Like they know how to
just get ready to say that.
You know, they know how to present the vision. They know how to present the plan or what I want you to follow.
And they know how to get people to listen to them, and they know what to say in order to grab people.
They're an outgoing personality.
Extrovert.
Yeah. So it's easy for them. And it may not be easy. Let me not say easy. It appears that it comes naturally to them to be this way.
Yeah.
Even though in reality, we know that it isn't.
Yeah. And I think another thing that tends to draw people or impress people about alphas is that they're not afraid of a fight. So, you know, if it's time to throw down, if I have an idea and you disagree with my idea, they don't have a problem, you know, either over talking you or
interrupting you, or continuing to give you facts about why it needs to go their way.
Right. You know, and because a lot of people struggle with what they believe is arguing or conflict resolution or disagreeing or whatnot, they can see this trait as something to aspire to.
Yes, I agree with that.
But taken to an extreme, of course, you know, like you were saying, there's extreme ends of both of these. So taken to an extreme, you know, an alpha can be very abrasive
and controlling,
narcissistic. If you have an extreme alpha, they can tend to be, you know, not allowing people to be who they are either, because it's their way or no way. You know,
absolutely. I think on the male side, this is where the idea of toxic masculinity comes from. The extreme alpha. If you look at some of the, you know, podcasts that are,
I would say that for the women too.
Mics.
Yeah,
I would say that for the women.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we'll talk about this later, because I think a lot of them are not actually alphas. I think they're another personality type, and I'll share that later in the podcast.
And I completely agree with you for that same point of, on the outside, the idea of an alpha is something to aspire to. Not ever actually knowing what struggles an alpha actually goes through.
Or what it takes. Sir, ma'am, you're not qualified to be an alpha. You don't know nothing.
Well, because even if you look at the people that we have listed as alphas, if you look at their lives, some of them either aren't married, which, you know, everybody don't subscribe to that. So that's fine. But, you know, some of them are not married. And if they are married, they waited later in life to get married, you know, which is fine, you know, to each their own. But, you know, I just wonder, like, how lonely that is, or how anxiety ridden that is.
Yeah, I agree. It's so funny because, you know, alpha males are seen, as far as males, you know, they're seen as the ones that are the top of the food chains, you know, sexually, you know, the highest earners, the whole conversation of high value man.
It's so funny you said sexual, because something I read, they were saying that alpha men do not satisfy their women sexually.
I can believe it.
I can
because
too,
they're
because
about
it's about
self.
them.
Yeah, I can totally believe that.
Yep.
I don't need to read this book. Okay, well, be sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
Please yourself.
Or not even listening to what she likes.
Yeah.
And I think that's that overconfidence, or like we were saying, it's my way, it's my vision, my, which is why they can also appear very conceited or arrogant, or, you know, the extreme and narcissistic, you know.
They be having their Johnny Grill moments. My.
Wow. Yes.
You know, and I think that, you know, there are some benefits to being an alpha personality.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. And I think we touched on some of those already.
Definitely.
There is a level of go-getterness that comes with them.
I think entrepreneurs have to have a level of alpha because, like you said, you have to have that drive to go get this. You have to have that willingness to fight for what it is that you're trying to start. You have to be willing to have those facts. You can't necessarily be afraid of conflict. Or even if you are, you can't show it.
And just remember what we said earlier, this is going to be a spectrum of each personality. So each of these there's not a monolith to what they're going to present. These are just the parameters.
Yeah. I think one of the difficulties about being an alpha is because you're so used to being admired, your ability to vet people is not going to be as strong.
I could see that.
Because, people are just drawn to you. They have this, you're a magnet. And when you're a magnet for people, sometimes you're a magnet for everything.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, even the magnet the magnet that you are in the good relationship that you may, gravitate towards you, they don't typically prioritize those relationships. So those relationships kind of, I don't want to say they fizzle off, but they seem to be surface.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think if they were going to grow, that would be one of the areas in learning how to have relationships with people and not necessarily seeing people as a means to an end.
And learn how to collaborate with people and not control. Like you definitely have to learn how to engage with people and relationship with people.
And because the best leader is going to be someone that gets down there and does the work with the people. It's not just about, I get this position and I laud this over you. So when you have a healthy alpha, you see them, doing the work, you see them relating and responding to the people that, they're leading. So it's a bit different. Rashonda, Dr. Strickland, excuse me, what were the examples that we had?
Yes. So for our alpha males, we have a variety. Of alpha males. And I would say that this is probably them as individuals and a lot of the characters that they choose to play in film. So we've got Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Robert De Niro, and Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
If I was going to throw, one of us in there, I would probably add in like Idris Elba, because he tends to play a lot of characters that are very like strong male lead.
He does.
And very dominant in nature.
I can see that.
With a sprinkle of unhealthy.
He was a narcissist in one of our families.
Exactly. Yes. That is true.
And then for the ladies, we have Regina King, Bob Hall, and Angela Bassett.
And of course, Oprah is one of those alpha women.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think she's kind of like, if you had an archetype for an alpha female,
it is her.
It is her. Because her trajectory is ridiculous. But it makes sense. Oh, yeah.
She got them dollar bills.
Can I have some?
Don't even give them to me. Just pay my debt off. I would be so appreciative.
I can make it from there.
Yes.
Agreed. So if you listen to Oprah.
Or at least.
Or if you need some podcasts.
I was going to say, or at least just teach me what you did.
Okay.
Like, I want to have one-on-one mentorship. Like, I don't want to, like, email and DM. No. I want to meet. Yes.
Do you have a free package? A free pack? I'll quarantine for 14 days.
Exactly.
In your cottage on your property. I'll quarantine.
Okay.
But, of course, with every, top, there is an opposite.
Yes.
And if there is one, this is probably going to be it. So even though we said these were not in alphabetical order, you'll see in a second.
The next is the beta.
No, go ahead.
You straight. Go ahead. You straight. Okay. So the beta woman, I don't know. She's shy, unreactive, anxious, friendly, but also eager to help people. So she looks shy,
but she's not.
But yes,
she appears.
And the beta woman tends to be the one who is overlooked a lot. And I want to say taken advantage of, just because of her not wanting to argue, not being I don't want to say willing because she is willing, but not including her opinion on different topics unless she's asked.
Yeah. And another trait is they're always looking to find their place in their friend circles and their place in their career. You know what I mean? So that's a big part of betas in general, but also specifically women betas.
Yeah, I think to kind of piggyback on, the idea and misconceptions about betas, for beta males, there's that misconception too of them being just weak in general.
Yeah, and they're not.
They're not. Because when we think of them socially, they are just like the most inept, socially awkward, socially frustrating people to be around. And that's not always quite the case for, again, we talked about spectrum. So of course there are going to be beta, I hate to say beta male, beta. There are going to be beta males that are on the very low end and really are just,
some stuff going on.
People just step on them all the time. And then there are people that are on the healthier end of that, that show that loyal, nature, and are go with the flow, and kind of easygoing.
And I think a lot of why submission is seen as a negative trait is because they feel that you need to be in a constant state of power. But if people really understand the dynamic between submission and dominance, then you understand that submissive people tend to be the ones who are actually in control of the situation. And that's just not something that we're taught, because it's like whoever's loudest is the one in control. But in reality, that's not how things go.
Yeah, because with the beta female, it's not that she's not willing to share her opinion. She just likes to avoid conflict. And I believe that if beta females learn how to be assertive, and learn how to engage when there is a conflict, because I think everybody have a misunderstanding of what conflict or disagreements are. When you disagree with people, it doesn't mean that someone has to walk away angry. Just because you're in conflict doesn't mean that you have to walk away angry. It just means that you had a difficult conversation, but both people can still walk away from the conflict or argument or whatever at peace. And so I think if beta male and female learn the true meaning or true way of dealing with conflict, then this wouldn't be an issue.
I think alphas and betas have a very kind of symbiotic relationship. Because a lot of times betas, because they're not as vocal, they have the same idea structure as alphas. So they tend to match up with alphas a lot because of that, more charismatic, more outspoken nature, so that it allows them to kind of still stay in the background.
And they don't have to compete against the spotlight because they don't want it.
And betas are extremely respectful, so that plays a good role in that symbiotic relationship, because they also will be able to keep their alpha friend, business partner, whoever in line with, hey, you're doing too much, come back,
because they're also loyal.
Yes.
And they, like you said, in that loyalty, even if they do act outside of what they are comfortable with, is come back here, come,
let me reel you in.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think beta males tend to do better with women than people think that they do.
Yes, a lot of times they are the preferred. For a lot of strong women, because you want someone who presents these qualities.
But I also see them as the good man always finish last type of men as well, because
the
of
way
them.
they present.
I definitely can see that, because that if you match up with an alpha that is on their unhealthy end.
Yep.
You know, if you can match a healthy alpha and a healthy beta, then they probably will have a relationship that syncs really well with one another.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dom and a submissive on the sexual end. You know, they will work really well. But if you have, you know, two people on the extreme ends of that, then it's probably not going to, it's going to be a little abuse probably. But I think people have this misconception about beta individuals, that they are just these, you know, you can just put your thumb and just step all over them and that they have no backbone. When in reality, that's not the truth. It's just the way they try to go about showing that backbone is very different.
Yeah. Because you don't get a outcome you ain't going to like. You keep pushing them.
Yeah. I think a beta could also be mistaken as a covert narcissist.
I can see that.
Because they tend to be more reserved, and even though they hold the same ideas as the alpha, because alpha are outspoken, and you know, covert narcissists tend to be more like, "Woe is me," you know, "I deserve more." And in that way, I think on the unhealthy end, a beta could look like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
What's our celebs for this one?
Our celebs, we have an interesting set here. So for our beta males, I think none of these will be a total surprise to anybody if you've seen these shows. So we got Chandler Bing from Friends, Castile from Supernatural, and Leonard Hofstadter from Big Bang Theory. Those are our men.
Can I add one?
Yeah.
Elijah.
You think he's a beta male?
To Niklaus Alpha.
Yeah, Niklaus is an alpha. He might be a sigma. He might be laughing. I can see it though.
I love Elijah. He can be deadly though.
I was team Niklaus, but I can see Elijah though. And for our ladies,
whatever.
Our ladies, we got Issa Rae from the show.
The show. Insecurity. I got your back.
Insecure. Yeah, because you were saying the show, and I was like,
and I said insecurity. So we all wrong.
All of those things.
We need to eat, y'all. It's okay.
Our apologies, Issa. We did not mean it that way. But her character from the show could be seen as a beta female character. And I think, like with all, you know, you can have some story arc over the course of life, but if you were to boil it down to the base, that you kind of fit in that category.
Okay, so the next one, and this is why Dr. Strickland was saying that they're not in order. So the next one is Gamma, and I'll go for the females. She is independent, she is organized, she is driven, and she is confident. And now you can probably see why all of us described ourselves as Gamma. I believe all of us are independent, organized, and driven, as well as confident. You know, I think there are extremes to all of these. Like we said before, you know, I'm sure there are times that let me speak for myself. There are times that I am not organized and don't feel like organizing. And there are times where I'm not driven because I don't feel like it, because we always doing something, so I don't want to do it. And then there are other times where I don't feel confident either. You know, sometimes even when recording our sessions, sometimes I don't feel confident that I have the best information or studied information, researched information, you know. So there are times and levels for all of these. And I think for me, you know, I can sway either way depending on my life.
Yeah, agree. And I you know, just to full transparency, interns, this is the second recording of this session because we didn't like the first one. So that just goes to show the gamma is strong.
It is.
The gamma is strong. On the male side, you know, he tends to be adventurous, as well as eager. I think with the research that I saw, that gammas have a tendency to have little bits and pieces, gamma males, of all the personality types. So it kind of culminates in this way. The other ways are that a gamma male is aware He tends to be empathetic to what is going on. This is why they say that he probably has had a lot of alpha in his life and then has seen, okay, well, I can get more if I become this empathetic person, this caring, self-aware person versus just being so stoic.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was reading, this one probably could, the beta could be seen as a covert narcissist, but so could this one. Because one of the things I was reading, they said that they adopt what's called a secret king idea of grandeur. So,
I am great.
I am great. But because they're not as outspoken and worldly as maybe the alphas are, that it's just this internal thing that's just sitting there, and I just believe this about myself, whether or not it's true or not, because they are also go-getters as well. They want to achieve and want to be successful, but it's just not going to look the same way as it does for an alpha.
Yeah.
Some other stuff that I had seen here is that they bounce between being conflict avoidant, but also failure avoidant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which
makes sense.
Which is a difficult place to be in, because a lot of times in order to be successful, you have to go through conflict. You have to disagree.
And you have to fail.
I don't know about y'all, but that sent me all the way back to writing a dissertation. And I don't want to have a flashback.
Yeah. And, they are, from what I was reading, like they are the ones that more than the betas dream to be like alphas. That betas tend to be able to actually get connected with alphas, but gammas don't have as nearly much success actually connecting with alphas.
Well, I can see that because
it's probably irritating.
Yeah, because gammas are also independent, just as it seems like they're they seem like gammas are just a minimized alpha.
Yes.
So I can see them clashing.
Yeah, and they also say that the gammas are the level-headed ones. They're like the middle road when it comes to logic and emotion for these personalities.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I could see, like you ladies were saying, it being a very hard mix.
Gotta be healthy
between those two. Yeah, I mean,
because even with the healthy version of it, I think it would still be difficult just because both of them are driven. And the thing about it is, if both of y'all are driven to do the same thing, I can't even imagine what that conversation is like. That's probably all argument. Because we don't know how to have conversation. We don't know how to respect each other's opinion.
Yeah. Then I was just reading real quick on one of the articles that I read, and they said for the gamma male, they are often referred to as female brains trapped in male bodies.
Wow.
So they're in touch with their masculine and feminine.
But the hard part for them is that they usually don't understand women.
I can understand that.
They understand them in a stereotypical kind of way, but don't genuinely understand the needs, wants, and desires of women. So it makes them a little bit more less likely to match with somebody else. Not that they don't get, play, but they're not as
charismatic.
Yeah, they don't have that je ne sais quoi, like the other ones do.
Yeah. Okay.
But we talked about what are the limitations and what are the there are some benefits and some limitations on being on either end of the spectrum. So one of the biggest drawbacks that I could see for gammas is their ability to date, at least for the gamma male. Because of that lack of understanding. On top of that, they're being hyper romantic and it's just an extreme. It's too much for people to be able to handle.
Y'all see me.
And then then women tend to push them away because it's like, dude, slow down, okay.
Well, and for the females, they are good at friendships and relationships because they tend to keep people in their lives organized.
Mhm.
However, of course, on the unhealthy end, they can lose people because it's like, no, I need you to stay on track.
Mhm.
You going to the left, come back. So,
but one of the benefits that they have here for the gamma male is that they, even though they suck at relationships, they are above average intelligence.
Mhm.
So it allows them to move in certain circles, but that social component keeps them from being able to fully access them.
Mhm.
But even though I logically know how to do it, I don't know strategically necessarily know how to do it. But they can, if they use their their powers for good, they can climb up the social ladder and get there. But if not pulled in the right direction, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So who we got for the celebs?
Ooh, gammas. Y'all, it took us. Now this one was hard. These next couple of ones was hard to find, but we did get some. So for our gamma males, we have Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably say that's true of the person or what we know, what the tabloids and the blogs and stuff let us know about this individual.
Yeah.
And then for the ladies, we have Carrie Bradshaw, or played by Sarah Jessica Parker from Sex and the City.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just given the description of both of those, I think those are pretty
spot on.
Pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so next we have the Omega, and she is introverted. She is often overly sensitive. She is intelligent. She is romantic. What, Dr. Wall?
I'm laughing at myself.
Oh, why?
Because she is part of me.
She is me and I am her.
Yes.
Well, we will let you explain them.
Well, I mean, I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory with these examples, but as someone who has all these traits, like, I'm laughing because it's just like people have to come find Omegas. You know what I mean? Because we not going out. I'm gonna give all of this to you once you find me, but I ain't going out there. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why earlier when I said I feel like I'm a gamma and omega, there are moments where that independent and that introvert come together, and it's just like, well, somebody got to break into my home to get here. But like one of the prompt things it says on here is that in the romance area, it says, while they may be too shy to pursue the romantic interests they have in real life, they can escape to books and movies for their romantic dreams.
Oh man,
that is all the way.
I'd be like, you better do that, and I'd be like, these people aren't real. You're just in my mind.
Yeah.
Got a whole movie going on.
Love it.
Hilarious. The funny thing about this one, so the Omega male is where I found like the most conflicting information.
Yeah.
Like I found basically like two exact opposite version descriptions of the Omega male.
Yeah.
Like on one end, they're very similar to the alpha male. They may not necessarily be as people oriented as the alpha male is. Like I'm going to get there because I'm going to get there. Not I'm going to get there, but I need you to help me get there. And then on the other end, what I found, it was like, look, they are like the social pariah of men. It was like, they're ugly, they're socially inept, they're the most unpopular of all of the personality traits, and they have zero understanding of women. And I was like, but this is a direct conflict with what I found everywhere else. So it's like, I don't know if there's enough about the Omega male yet to really kind of collapse that into a...
I feel like it's societal because this is not deemed as the great version of being a man, whatever that means. You know, like stereotypically, Omegas are the nerd archetype. I don't know about y'all, but it's some nerds that's fine.
It is.
It is, but they don't have game and they don't have swag.
I don't even need all that. I can teach you swag.
Well, the thing about it is they gotta have it. they gotta have it to approach you. Like,
no, we gonna have an introvert unite separately meeting, and I'm be like, I'm gonna email him.
What?
Don't judge me, okay?
You done thought about this? Sound like you done said I really thought about this.
Yes,
I got a plan.
Unless the bestie is gonna know both of us and set us together.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because think about it, two nerdy people trying to connect.
Oh Lord,
We got to go to Comic-Con, or we got to go to some.
God.
You know, we have to go to something, and that's how that happens. Because we're not trying to be romantic. It's like, you like that too.
But if you think about like, oh God, I almost think Leonard Hofstadter fits this too, because
Probably
he didn't have no game,
but
he still got Penny.
He did.
And then had no problem. I mean, he had some problems.
But I think it's because it was more so because it was easy. Because
you see what I said?
So you need somebody to stay next door.
Or I had to go to more conferences. But the conferences I go to be sex conferences, and I don't want to meet nobody. And I'm don't touch me.
Yeah, they be into the real pain.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I want to watch over here, and you stay over there. Don't come by me.
But I agree with both of y'all. I think it's like you don't have game, but we got to be in the same place because you don't have game. Then
we got to talk about something that we got in common. Like, oh, you like books? Oh, I do too.
Yes, but
right.
But what I will say is that typically Omega men are not as shy as Omega women. They'll just be like, I'm gonna do it because I want to, versus like, what is the world gonna say? I shouldn't do it. So they do have a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, I could see that. So Omega men, they all over the place. That's really what it is. So we need y'all to pick a lane and stick in that lane, because we got conflicting research out here about y'all, and I don't like it.
Because we don't know how to describe y'all.
For real. Because I was like, wait, hold on, this don't match with everything else I learned about Omega men. Okay. But one of the, kind of drawbacks that they listed were all of those things, that they're, again, the bottom of the barrel.
Which is so sad.
I know.
And I think most women, once we get older, we would definitely probably go for a dude like this, because he just gonna do what he need to do, and he's gonna show up in the way that he is, versus, who are you? What do I got to figure out? Oh, are you lying to me today? Like he just, it's like you get what you see.
Yeah. So I don't know if I fully agree with some of the more negative aspects of the Omega male. I think they are probably the most misunderstood out of all of the character types.
They're not giving interviews.
Right. So then people just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And just put a big old mishmash together. Okay. But we do have some people, though.
Yes.
And again, this was another one that was hard to come up with. So we have, for the ladies, we've got the Oracle from the Matrix. And for our youngsters, that's us, we've got Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this may be like later Master Splinter, because he was really on some I'm going to teach y'all the ways. But yeah, I think that's probably.
Yeah, they very knowledgeable, very intelligent, both of these characters. But they also had that self-awareness. They also had some of that introversion. They had all of those qualities.
Yeah.
And misunderstood. Master Splinter was very misunderstood. So.
Oh, yeah. If you are an 80s baby or even a late 70s baby, if you watch.
We talking about the original.
Yeah. Original. So, because I even had tapes.
Me too.
I had VHS tapes of them.
Yes.
Turtle Power.
Okay. We're going on. So next we have the Delta female. She is shy. She is realistic. She is self-conscious, but she is also communicative. So this woman, she is, I guess, so real that she can sometimes be seen as pessimistic.
Mm-hmm.
And her, I guess, again, with her shyness, she can also seem like she can be taken advantage of, but she get with it. She get with it because she let you know she's not like the beta who won't give their opinion. She's gonna give her opinion, but it's gonna sound very pessimistic.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
but she also has, but she also has insecurities. Most obviously about herself. She has insecurities.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Delta male and the Delta female kind of have some crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the Omega male and Omega female, that there's. But one interesting thing that I did find about the Delta male is that they're the most likely to move up and down in the archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the most ability for change over the other ones.
Which ones?
The Delta male.
There's been something that has happened typically for the Delta males.
So that they're more likely than like the alpha or to move into a different ranking. I say ranking, but into a different category than some of the other ones tend to be a little bit more like, once I'm here, like this is just kind of my personality.
Yeah.
Well, with the Delta female, it's the same. If she is something that's happened that's caused her to become shy.
Yeah, they say that the male is resigned, which that's something that's going on. So I'm like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be. And then they, adapt to whatever the situation. Now, they don't always adapt in a healthy way, but they adapt. Also, it showed that he can be resentful, self-sabotaging, and has a tendency to be lonely. They, I would say they wear their heart on their sleeve without using those boundaries and being protective. So it's just like, these things have happened to me. It's like, therefore I am.
Yeah, I would say a little bit withdrawn. They can kind of be withdrawn from life a little bit.
Yeah.
And out of kind of all of the previous archetypes, they're probably the least interested in the alpha.
I can see that.
They're not looking to be a part of the alpha's camp. And like, I want that praise from them and, that admiration. They're like, okay.
Now the alpha probably gets on their last nerve.
Well, they used to be them in a lot of cases, I think the toxic side of being a Delta, it can get to a place of resentfulness, anger, a place of hate.
Yeah.
So, you really have to be like, let me not go too far in this Delta mindset.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the similarities that they do have with some of the other types is that they do work, though. This is not necessarily because they don't want to strive in the same type of way that they're not active in working and pushing forward. They do, and it's just going to look like, oh, that's done. Versus, I'm telling you along the way what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That kind of situation.
And I think with Delta women, they are able to connect with people because they communicate well. Like you said, they use their words. They have a deeper understanding and meaning of words. And so they use that to communicate with people and create relationship and connection with them.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think another thing is they tend to be really competent. It's not necessarily about high intelligence like some of the other ones, but they're very competent at what they do. So this is going to be your, this is not going to be the CEO, but this may be the engineer on the cutting room floor that
know their job.
Right.
Yeah. And they're not necessarily going to go any higher.
And they may not want to.
And that's okay.
Well, that's one of the characteristics as well. Is they don't want to be leaders. They're very okay being the worker bee in some ways. And I think another characteristic that kind of gets overlooked is these tend to be family oriented. They do fairly well with stable family units and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the drawbacks that I saw here was, because for the males specifically,
Mm-hmm.
because they are that kind of laid back, they don't strive for more.
Mm-hmm.
Based off the type of women that they choose, they may end up with a partner that could like cheat on them because the woman starts to see them as maybe less than or
not a go-getter.
Stagnant, yeah, not a go-getter. So then they start to dream of being with somebody that is and will, cheat on them with an alpha or shoot, even a beta.
Anything.
A beta is kind of like a cloaked alpha in some ways. Which can kind of leave him open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
So for our peoples, because we searched high and low and we finally found some Delta people that we think work. For the men, Al Bundy and Homer Simpson.
Yes.
Specifically for Al Bundy, because Peggy was trying to get all up over him, and he was just like, "Oh,
get off me!" I know, get off me.
And he worked at a shoe store, and from my memory, I don't think he ever moved out of that position. Did he?
No. And for everybody who needs to know the show, it's Married with Children.
It's an oldie but a goodie for all us 70s and 80s babies. And then for the ladies, we have Carrie from the movie Carrie. And
the horror film.
The OG one, not necessarily the remake. The one with Cece Spacek, I believe that's her name. If you've seen that film, you can see how abused she was and how she just kind of was this mousy, behind the scenes. I don't want to, rock the boat. But then when push came to shove and she got shoved a little bit too far,
she had
a whole nother person came out of her. And everybody learned that day. Like Kevin Hart said, you gonna learn today. They learned that day. You don't mess with Carrie.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So last but not least is the Sigma. And she is emotionally attached. She is intimidating. She is loyal, and she is elusive. So she gets emotionally attached more than the alpha female. So she does like to be, connected. But she can also be intimidating because she uses her personality to get what she wants. And she can be very demanding. But she's loyal, so, once you get her, you got her.
It sounds like Pretty Politics to me.
Good.
That's
an interesting stance.
Yeah. Come on, Pretty Politics.
And then with the man, he has a tendency to be cunning, self-confident, extremely likable, and he is calculated.
Yeah. These are, so it doesn't say this in the literature, but just in the way my head is, right? So this is what I think alphas want to be.
Really?
Yeah, that they want to be the Sigma, because the Sigma,
they just do whatever
they do what they want. They beat to their own drum. They're still just as successful as the alpha, but they do it and they just like, whatever, this is what I'm gonna do. If you don't want to go along the ride with me, then I'll go do it myself, and I'll create my own thing. I'll break off and do my own joint. And they know how to get around people. Whereas the alpha has to, when I say use, I don't mean use like in an abusive way, but they have to use people to get to where they want to be. Versus the Sigma is just gonna get there.
Yeah, and I think the female version of that is that she walks with a lot of mystery. So you don't know what she's gonna do. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But that also makes people go away from her a lot as well because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is the personality type that I believe are the male podcasters.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now they on the toxic side. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what this onslaught of especially Black male podcasters are.
Okay.
Because it's interesting because the Sigma is usually kind of considered to be the lone wolf, that they are the rogue and go against the grain. But the fact that all of these male podcasters are saying the same thing is what makes me wonder if they are actually true Sigmas.
Well, I think they believe that they are going against the grain. I think they are educating. I'm not going to say what I want to say. I think they believe that they are educating something that people don't know. But really, what it is a group of people who want certain things to happen the way they want it to happen. But there is no regard for how that is impacting everyone around them.
Gotcha.
So
that's interesting.
I'm trying to choose my words correctly, because I think the issue with the male podcasters, because I saw them as alphas because of what you said, they don't tend to be branching off to have a new idea. They're saying the same thing that each other are saying, but I wonder if they think that they're branching off and doing their own thing.
It's so funny because we all have a very different view, because I see them as betas because they have the same viewpoints as alphas, but because they now have a new platform to be able to speak, because I've observed the alpha for so long and I've taken on the ideas of the alpha for so long that I can then regurgitate and kind of pantomime what an alpha looks like.
My only issue is that they don't have no loyalty to others. They have loyalty to self. For the beta part.
And for the alpha, they using each other.
That.
But because they're out, well, in my mind, they're alphas because they keep using each other to start a different platform just to say the same thing that the other person is saying.
Man, they definitely are layered.
What they are is toxic. They're toxic. So whatever we put them in.
They got some layers in there.
And I know this is a little bit off topic. When we discuss them, it's important to realize like these individuals have been hurt in some type of way and there's a level of insecurity. So for everybody who did not catch our interview with Love Life of an Asian Guy, we went into like more detail about how we feel about, male podcasters. We'll be sure to link the different interview segments in our bio, not our bio, but our what is it?
Notes,
that thing. So we'll link it so that y'all can see. But it's just, to me, anytime that you want to educate or anytime you want to give information to somebody else, you don't need to belittle the thing that is in opposition of you.
Yeah.
So if I like Korean men, I don't need to talk crazy about Black men to say how great Korean men are. I just tell you why I like Korean men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a very weird way to get information across. And I don't feel like you need to be abusive to anyone in order to get your points across.
Agreed.
And that's the thing. I would like for male podcasters to comment and tell us where y'all think y'all fall. Because,
they're going to say they're alpha.
I'm sure.
That's what they been.
Because I think that's the best. There is no best. You just really need to ask who you are.
But that's why we want to challenge them. Where do you think you are? If you think you're an alpha, okay, that's fine. Tell us why.
Yeah.
Because this is good conversation pieces.
You know what? I think it may be all three. So I still think they are beta, but I think they may be betas that want to be alphas but act like sigmas.
That could be a good
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to kind of like, I can be self-made and I can do all this, which is very Sigma-esque. I don't need you to get where I am. but because socially we have put the alpha in the front so much, because these other personality types are very new. You know, it used to just be alpha and beta. Like there was no like all this other type. So I think because the alpha has always been the one that socially, or the longest known version, that's what they envision being. But in reality, they really want to act like sigmas.
Yeah.
So before you answer the question of where you think you are, go and read it.
Yeah.
You know, don't answer out of anger. Don't answer out of your feelings being hurt or any, you know, because you think we're challenging you. No, we want to have a healthy conversation, a healthy dialogue, so that, you know, we can, hopefully we're all women. And if we're, you know, communicating with male podcasters, we should be able to have a healthy dialogue.
And also remember, none of these personalities are innately unhealthy or toxic. There are just extremes to everything. So we've talked about the positives, the negatives, pros and cons, or whatever of each personality type. So it's important to remember that there's not a need to only look at the toxic pieces of it, you know?
Absolutely. Agreed. So, you know, if there were any drawbacks to being a Sigma in the traditional sense, they are loners. So they don't have a group or a tribe of people to support them and be there with them. And they can be difficult to deal with because of that lone wolf nature.
And I would say for the women, although they engage and do develop relationships, because of their mystery, their mysterious ways about them, they can definitely make people go away from them.
And if there were any benefits, they are driven. You know, they have, you know, and they are not afraid to be alone.
Also, when they are in their healthiness, they are extremely accurate. They're not just going to blurt out something just for the sake of blurting it out. They're going to make sure that they have their ducks in a row, and accuracy is extremely important to them.
Yeah. So for examples of this, on the male end, we have John Wick, and everybody at this stage and age should already know John Wick is a Sigma. And on the ladies, we have Miranda from Devil Wears Prada. Because she was definitely like
doing the most,
trying to slice you up, but then here's a sprinkle of here's some love. Nice, all. Nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
All right.
So I definitely think these are interesting ideas about how we can be, but I agree with what we said a little bit earlier, that I think that people can flow between all of these, given what you've been through and what you're experiencing in the moment.
And interns, we don't want to leave you out. After you hear the session, tell us where you think you fall. What trait do you have as well? So tell us what trait you think we have. Tell us what trait you think you have. And male podcasters, tell us what trait you think you have.
Also, you know, before, you know, we head out, we, you know, the doctors also want to let you know that we will be doing a giveaway for our anniversary podcast session, which will be coming up in about a couple of months. So get yourselves ready. We'll definitely be letting you know what the rules are for the giveaway. But it is not only for people who are in the United States. I know that's probably weird for us to say that with this being our first giveaway, but we know that we have love from all over this planet, and we want to make sure that we spread that as much as possible. Also, we have a live coming up. You get an extra live this year because we have our 100th episode, and it's going to be an MMB, which we have never done live.
Oh my God.
So we're trying to figure out which way we're going to do that. So it's not like 7,000 hours long, but it will definitely be a live. And it's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about this.
I know.
One. I think this is going to probably be one of the most interesting ones we've done because, you know, the other ones have been this broad. So they're just, you know, free form. This one, Like we
have our regular.
Look, we gonna try to make this thing popping. Like we gonna see if we can like do this all together. So we all breaking it down together. Like this, I'm so excited.
Yes. So the rundown for the rest of this month, since that is leading into our 100th episode, next week will be Pretty Privilege. The week after that, we'll be discussing High Value. And then the movie that we have selected is the classic Baps.
I love that movie.
All right, so you guys know we always end off with a quote.
And today's quote is brought to you by Bell Hooks. And it says, "Sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power, not because they don't see it, but because they see it and they don't want it to exist."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at the RePsychled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.